Welcome to our custom.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel Custom Carving and Epoxy UK, and I hope you're all doing well. And in this video we are going to be doing another coaster using this homemade mold, but it's not going to be a bloom, interestingly. So I know I've been doing quite a few blooms lately. I wanted to recreate this dragon scale / crackle effect, and it's going to be interesting because I've not done it in a deep mold before like this, so we're going to see how it works. Hopefully it's going to work just as well. And I wanted to make a chameleon crackle effect. So the idea is I'm going to be putting 3 different chameleon powders in it, hopefully to get that shine and that crackle is the plan. But as we all know with resin, things can go wrong at any point. So I'm just hoping it's going to work. I'm also going to have to be using a slightly thicker resin, but I was thinking about the center, and sometimes these centers don't fully close. So I wanted to put something in the center as well that hopefully won't detract from the piece. So I've got these black obsidian gemstones, and I just thought they would look really cool in the center. But I wanted a bit of sparkle, so I decided I was going to also put in some of these purplish aurora flakes just to add a little bit of sparkle, and it's just in case it doesn't pull all the way in. Now sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Resin does what resin does, but I've not tried it in this mold yet. And then for the transparent color, I'm just going to use the Let's Resin Alcohol-Ink, the black, and I think that will really make the chameleon powders pop. But if it's your first time to the channel, guys, as well, please like and subscribe. If you sat there watching on your telly, there's the QR code. Point your camera at the TV. It's free to do. It'll take you straight through to the link to subscribe. And the only way we grow is by you guys subscribing. So please do me a favor and like and subscribe. But let's get on with this project now. So I've mixed up just over 4 ounces of resin. Now I know the mold holds 5 ounces, but I wanted to show you that you don't need to go as deep as your mold. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is, for this to work, you need a clear layer, and then you need the heavier micas. So I've got this resin, put it through the debubbler, crystal clear, as you can see. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is mix up these chameleon powders, and then it's going to be a pretty straightforward pour, to be honest with you. So I'm just going to pour a little bit of each of these. Again, I'm just eyeballing it. I'm not measuring it or weighing it. Roughly, I think just over half a pot for each is what I'm going for. And yes, you've got voiceover, Andy, in this video because my microphone decided it didn't want to work for some reason. It was definitely plugged in for this one. So I think sometimes when you're editing YouTube videos, it does it just to wind you up. But there we go. So again, I'm just pouring it in roughly, I think it's 3/4 of a cup I got to with each of these. And then I wanted a tiny bit in this top bit just to mix up with those rocks for my center. And as I say, once this is all mixed, it's going to be a really straightforward pour, and then it's going to be down to the resin gods. So I'm just going to drop, I think I went with 8 drops of the Alcohol-Ink in the clear resin to create the transparent color. And hopefully we all know that black really emphasizes chameleon. So hopefully it'll have the same effect in this. So I'm just going to mix that through first of all. And you want to make sure, especially when you're using your Alcohol-Inks, if you're using it like this in resin, you want to make sure it is really well mixed. So you don't get clear bits and you don't get opaque bits mixed in together. You want it all to be one color. So as I say, just 8 drops of that Alcohol-Ink should create as a nice dark but yet still transparent color, which is one of the tricks of the chameleon or the crackle effect. Is you need a transparent color as well as the heavier micas. And you can see it looks really dark in the cup, but when I lift it out onto the stick, it's still very transparent, which is what I wanted. But let me know in comments as well. Is there any projects you want to see us do that you haven't seen done before? I want your ideas because this is your channel as well as mine. And we can only keep growing if we keep doing new things. So I'm just going to wipe off the stick, and then it's going to be a case of mixing these chameleon powders up. And I've gone with 3 different colours, so I think it'd be really interesting just to see if they stay separate or if they all blend into one colour, which is what I presume will happen. But look at that colour. This one's like a pinky colour. And I've decided I wanted to keep it reasonably even across the colours. So I'm going to be using one of these mica scoops. And I think I'm going to go for two heaped spoons per pot, which will give us an even colour. So that is the pink. And again, it's the thing I love about chameleon powders is not just the colour, it's the glisten you get off them as well. They're amazing. This next one is going to be more of a bluish colour. Again, if they did blend, I thought we might get a purple colour. And again, these are absolutely stunning. These are actually my cheap chameleon powders. Well, I say cheap. They were from Temu. But I have got the Let's Resin one somewhere. I just couldn't find them at the point of doing this video. So I'm going to be probably doing this again with different colours as well. So this one's more of a reddish, I suppose reddish gold, this one. So again, just putting 2 scoops in. Then we're going to mix them all up. And then it's going to be time for the pour. And you'll see how simple the crackle effect can be. Now, remember, if you're new to resin, not every experiment you do works. Some will work, some won't. And if you go back through the videos, you'll see some of my experiments work, some don't. And just the key is, don't get disheartened, carry on until you get some that do work. So this is that first pinkish chameleon colour. And again, it probably would have been easier had I put the mica powders in the pot before I poured the resin, but I didn't. So I'm just being a little bit careful here so that I don't get a mica explosion everywhere. And you want to make sure that they're really well mixed in, because the last thing you want is, if this works, a bit of mica to float to the top or the bottom and ruin that effect. So again, just take your time, stir it around, make sure that you're comfortable that everything is thoroughly mixed. And I'm happy that that's going to be opaque enough to hopefully give me the effect that I want. And again, if you're new to the channel as well, join membership if you can. For the cost of a coffee, it gets you entered into that monthly prize draw where you can win a piece of my art shipped anywhere in the world, as well as early access to every single video. And there'll be a link in the description. It's the top link to join membership, and it's really appreciated. And thank you to everybody that's already joined membership. It is appreciated, and we can only continue if that continues. And the more members we get, the more projects we can do. So here's that blue colour, and that is looking amazing. I think there's something about blues in chameleon powders. They really, really pop. So again, I'm loving that shine, but just making sure it's thoroughly mixed as I did with the previous one. And then we've got the last colour. So I think we're going to get a blended purple colour. I think they're all going to blend together. I don't think we're going to get the separate rings, unfortunately. Let me know what you think in comments. Let me know what you think's going to happen. But honestly, I think they're all just going to blend together in the end. But it's going to be interesting to experiment with this further and try lots of different colours and see how they blend together. So that is the blue. And the next one is this pinkish sort of reddish gold, which again is a stunning colour. So I'm loving the way that these colours are looking, and I'm picturing in my head what they're going to look like if that crackle effect does work. And I'm hoping that we're going to get one of the best crackle effects or dragon scale effects that I've had yet. And I've had a few people asking, what's the difference between crackle and dragon scale? I think it's just that ring. So if you want a dragon scale effect from the videos that I've seen, you just add an extra ring of the clear in between pouring your colours, and it creates almost a little ring going around. And I think that's often referred to as dragon scale effect. If you don't add the extra layer of clear, then it just is called crackle effect. But who cares what it's called, as long as it looks great. So here we go. And we're pretty much ready to pour now. So this is the exciting part. Really straightforward, as you'll see. So the first thing you want to do is pour a thin layer of your transparent colour. So for me, it's this black. And I'm just pouring round, as you can see, So I've got a thin layer going on the base. Like so. And I'm just going to move it all the way around this mold just to make sure that I've got a layer that covers the whole of that base, because if you don't have that, your crackle effect probably won't work. And then I'm just making sure it's level. And actually, I think it's this mat that I've put down underneath, this drip collection mat. It makes my surface a little bit unlevel. So I am going to sort of look at that, but just torching off any bubbles, making sure there's none of them surface bubbles on there, because we don't want bubbles in our resin. And now the fun part. It's just going to be puddle pouring these different chameleon colours into the mould and hoping for a great crackle. So I'm going to try and do it in 2 rows. So I'm going to go in with this purplish gold first. And I'm just going to try and pour about half of it in, first of all. Like that. Then I'm going to go in with the blue. And as you can see, it's just a standard puddle pour that I'm doing. And then I'm going to go in with the pinkish one. But as I say, I'm trying to get about half of what I've mixed in there for the first layer. And this is that more pinkish one. And then if you want to dragon scale, now is the point which you'd pour in a bit of clear before you went in with your second row. I don't. I want crackle effect. So I'm just going to continue and do another layer of these same colours and see what happens. But I'm loving the colours. Loving the way that they're glistening in that transparent black resin. And as you can see, it's just dead straightforward. It is just a puddle pour. And then at the end, what we're going to do is pour in the remaining of the transparent black and hopefully push them out. So whatever's left in here, I'm just going to pour straight into the center, should push them out. And that is what causes your crackle effect. It's the difference between the heavy micas and the not so heavy transparent pigment colors. And there we go. And it doesn't need to be a big push. It just needs to be enough to start moving the resin around, pushing them around. So what happens is it pushes all of those micas out. And then as they pull back in, that is what creates your crackle. And I'm loving the effect already. But I'm just going to put that center in. So I've got some of these black obsidian rocks, which I thought would look really cool. And I've got some of these purple aurora flakes that I'm just going to mix together with the tiny bit of resin and put it in the center before it all pulls together. Now, you don't need to do this step because some people like the crackle effect to go all the way through. Now, sometimes you'll find it leaves a little center where you've done the push. But I decided for this one, just in case, I wanted to put a center in case it didn't pull all the way in. And here you can see that black obsidian gemstones with those purple aurora flakes. I just think it gives it a really nice effect. And then just putting it in the center. And whatever will be at this point. It's a case of resin will do what resin wants to do. And I'm praying that we get a good crackle effect here, because I don't think I've actually seen the chameleon crackle effect anywhere else. And I'm always trying to come up with new ideas and new things to do with our resin and new experiments. So again, if there's something that you've thought of that you want me to try and practice on the channel so you don't have to, let me know in comments. But just moving that center around just to make sure it doesn't look like it's a blob. And as you can see, the micas are already pulling in. So I don't think with this deep mold that I've made, I have to worry about the center not pulling all the way in because it wants to. So there we go. Just going to torch the bubbles off. And that is pretty much going to be it now. It's going to be a case of waiting and seeing what happens. Now, I've got this drip mold at the side of me as well, which is a skull planter mold, which every project I'm doing, any of these drips, I'm just going to put straight into that pot. And then hopefully in a month or so, we're going to have a finished piece that's going to look pretty cool with all of these different colors in. So I'm just going to fast forward this pot, then put you on a time lapse. And we'll see what happens. Do we get the chameleon crackle effect Is it going to work, or is it going to be an absolute mess? But I'll see you guys in a second. And as always, don't forget, like and subscribe to the channel. Makes a huge difference. And I'll see you at demold.
Welcome to our custom space where dreams take flight. Epoxy visions coming to life. It's a perfect sight. We pawn together, blooming three, resin family. Testing Micah's new creations. We set them free. Join our journey, like and subscribe. This is our place. Ocean seas to dragons and blooms we carve with grace. Welcome to custom carving.
Hey everyone, and we're back, and it's time to demold this and see if it's worked. Now, I can see where it looks like it's worked on this side a little bit, that crackle effect, and I can see those chameleon powders, but I think it's obviously much darker than it's going to look because it's in this dark handmade mold. So I'm excited to see what this is going to look like. And don't forget, if you like the content, if you like the channel, like and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on your telly, just point your camera at that QR code and it will send you straight to the channel subscribe page. And again, any support is always welcomed, and thank you to all of those members as well. So just to show you though, you don't have to completely fill these molds if you make them. This is, I probably could have put another ounce in there, so this is probably now a 4-ounce coaster rather than a 5-ounce coaster, but I'm loving that back just with those chameleon powders. So here we go. Without further ado, has the Chameleon Crackle worked? Let's see. And wait for the sound. So it's come out of the mold nice and clean. That's always a good start. And now we're gonna see. Wow. Look at that. That is crazy. That crackle's really worked, and it's gone all the way into the center. The only thing that stopped it fully closing is that obsidian rock that I put in the middle with that glitter. But do you know what? I quite like it. Look at that crackle, and then all of the sparkle from that chameleon. And it's gone more of a pinky purple than plain purple. But there we go, in that handmade mold. It still looks cool, even though it's not as thick as usual. And actually, I quite like that as a depth. So I might only do these 4 ounces in the future. But just look at that crackle. Absolutely beautiful. And that sparkle from the chameleon powders. I'm going to be doing this one again, I can tell you that, and experimenting with different chameleon powders. But look at it. It's probably my best crackle effect yet. So really happy with that. As always, I'm going to get you some close-ups. And don't forget, like and subscribe to the channel. So Chameleon Crackle works. And I'll see you guys on the next video.
Welcome to our custom space where dreams take flight. Epoxy visions coming to life. It's a perfect sight. We pawn together, blooming three, resin family. Testing Micah's new creations. We set them free. Join our journey, like and subscribe. This is our place. Ocean seas to dragons and blooms we carve with grace. Welcome to custom carving, where dreams come true. Epoxy magic flowing just